Hello, all you cryptic watchers. When I was younger, I used to love watching shows on TV like Ancient Aliens. Still do. It's almost like a comfort show. Just the idea that some visitors from another world have been tampering with humanity, obsessing over Uranus, and sharing the same love for hamburgers as us, all from behind the curtains for thousands of years, has captured my imagination. I used to stay awake at night thinking about what aliens might be like, what their home planet would look like, etc. But at the end of the day, I always knew that it was just a bunch of ancient astronaut theorists theorizing. I never actually had to consider how this information might affect my life. If somebody wanted to spout some information about aliens, they were either crazy, on drugs, or both, or at least that's what the people in charge wanted us to think. And then I might add to that, that's what the people in charge wanted us to think about what they wanted us to think. Have I lost you yet? Don't worry, because in today's video, we will be getting into it. We will be talking about, as you guessed it, extraterrestrials, government conspiracies, and even talk about how we may be playing into the hands of a one world order's agenda. If that sounds interesting or absolutely terrifying, that's because it is. Now stick around because you'll want to hear this. In case you missed it, the US government just recently, on July 26, 2023, held a congressional meeting where they discussed the nature of UFOs, or UAPs as they're now called, and the secrecy within certain government documents. I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised if I were to tell you that there are some top secret documents kept outside of the public eye, and I'm sure many are for good reason, but when it comes to UAPs, the public should know what's going on. And that's precisely what this hearing set out to do. To make a long story short, UAPs, they're real, they're here, and we know more about them than we're letting on. Also, just so that we're on the same page, UAP stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Nancy Ruth Mace, born December 4th, 1977, is an American politician serving as a U.S. representative for South Carolina's 1st Congressional District. She also asked all the questions in this hearing to David Grush, Ryan Graves, and David Fravor. David Grush is a former military intelligence officer turned whistleblower who shed light on the secrecy surrounding UAPs, and he accused the military of misusing funds to avoid congressional oversight. Ryan Graves was a former fighter pilot who shared his firsthand experiences with UAP encounters, including frequent detections of unknown objects in the skies. David Fravor is a former Navy commander who recounted his encounter with a mysterious tic-tac shaped object in 2004, which displayed inexplicable capabilities. So let's see what these gentlemen have to say when asked about the transparency of UAP sightings within the U.S. government.
All right. And then do you believe there's an active disinformation campaign within our government to deny existence of UAPs, yes or no?
I don't have an answer to that.
As previously stated publicly, yes.
I think previously with like Project Blue Book, yes, but currently I don't speak for the United States government.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so nothing that we didn't already know. I think that anyone with a brain bigger than a walnut could have inferred that. Now, Mr. Fravor there mentioned something about Project Blue Book, which, if you don't know, was a real-life United States Air Force program that aimed to investigate the study of UFO sightings. It was officially launched in 1952 and operated until 1969. The primary focus of the project was to determine if UFOs, or UAPs, posed a threat to national security and to assess whether that there was any potential technological advantage to be gained from these encounters. During its existence, Project Blue Book collected and analyzed thousands of UFO reports from various sources, including military personnel, civilians, and pilots. The project concluded that the vast majority of UFO sightings could be explained as conventional objects or natural phenomenon, while a small percentage remained unidentified due to insufficient information. The official conclusion was that no UFO sightings represented any advanced technology beyond Earth or posed a threat to national security. So while it seems that Project Blue Balls was a bust, this recent hearing completely turns it around. Fravor recounts a tic-tac shaped aircraft spotted off the southern coast of California back in November of 2004. Let's hear what Fravor has to say about this tic-tac shaped UAP.
A few questions for Mr. Fravor. As an expert naval aviator, have you ever seen an object that looked and moved like the tic-tac UAP?
No.
Did the tic-tac UAP move in such a way that defied the laws of physics?
The way we understand them, yes.
Fravor went in for a closer look. He described the tic-tac object as mirroring his movements, saying that it was aware that we were there. The object had no markings, no wings, and no exhaust plumes, he said. Fravor tried to cut off the UAP, but it accelerated so quickly that it seemed to have vanished. He said that it was detected roughly 60 miles away less than a minute later. Let me put that into perspective real quick. Velocity is distance over time, so very simply we can calculate the speed of the craft. I say speed because we only have the magnitude. So its speed was 60 miles per minute, or 3,600 miles per hour, And the fastest jet that we have today can travel 4,520 miles per hour. And that's only in one direction. You want to start changing any which way and going that fast, you better be ready for some serious G's. What this piece of information tells us is that no government as we know it is capable of the maneuvers observed by the Tic Tac. Perhaps the biggest piece of information dropped at this congressional hearing was the confirmation that the US government is in possession of aliens, maybe.
You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
As Mr. Grush puts it, non human biologics. But what does this mean? Well, it's meant to be vague. Non human biologics could literally mean anything. This could mean anything biological that's not human. I mean, look around, there's a lot of that. What's so interesting about his statement, however, is the context. You are not going to sit there and tell me that this whistleblower who's testifying under oath is just going to casually bring up some information about non human biologics when asked about recovered pilots just to troll us. I mean, why even say anything? If there were human pilots, he could have just said so. Another fascinating piece of trivia that came from this hearing was the estimation of pilots that report seeing UAPs. Let's hear what Mr. Graves has to contribute with his expert opinion.
I have a few questions for Mr. Graves. What percentage of UAP sightings, in your belief, go unreported by our pilots?
This is an approximation based off of my personal experience speaking with a number of pilots, but I would estimate we're somewhere near 5% reporting, perhaps.
So like 95% basically don't report seeing UAPs.
That's just my personal estimate.
95% not reporting sounds like a lot until you look at it from the other side and realize that, damn, there's a lot of UAP sightings. That's 5 pilots out of every 100 that witness these strange encounters. Are we to be worried about how many of these UAPs are in our airspace? I mean, I want to know why. What's their reason? I always thought that if ETs were to travel all this way to our planet, it would be with good intention and not to harvest resources or wage some war. I mean, the universe is full of resources. What good would picking on us do? That being said, I can't help but wonder what the military's involvement with UAPs is, and why they seem to be so involved with us in the first place. Many people would like to just say that all of the UAP sightings and documentations are simply just government tests. But let's see what Fravor has to say about this.
Many dismiss UAP reports as classified weapons testing by our own government, but in your experience as a pilot, does our government typically test advanced weapon systems right next to multi-million-dollar jets without informing our pilots?
No, we have test ranges for that.
Okay, so now that we have covered some of the biggest highlights from the hearing, I can't help but talk about Project Bluebeam. Not to be confused with Project Blue Book, this is different. This theory has circulated among UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike, and it is the idea that the United States government might stage some fake UFO invasion to pave the way for a one-world government. Scary, isn't it? In the past, if you believed in aliens or UFOs, you were made fun of, called crazy, and no one would even take you seriously. Now we have members of Congress taking accounts of UFOs and phenomena alike with absolute seriousness. So what changed? One could speculate a number of things that have changed, but many people feel that the government has been slowly introducing alien propaganda over the years so that people will eventually accept ETs into their life. They're essentially normalizing the enigma of aliens. First it was space and how it's way bigger than we thought it was. Then they told us that life isn't that special and that the elements that make up life are among the most common in the universe. Then they tell us that it's statistically impossible that life doesn't exist elsewhere, and all the while they're making movies and TV shows and faking crashes all to get the public thinking about aliens. I mean, it makes sense. If aliens were regularly making contact with Earth, that information alone would be enough to drive people to mania. I get it, I really do. We can't have people losing it and doing anything that would be dangerous to themselves or others. But that's if aliens really are here. Project Bluebeam exists whether they're here or they're not. All that they're concerned with is creating a one-world government. Now, it's essential to remember that this theory remains speculative and lacks credible evidence to support its validity. However, its allure lies in the notion of a grand-scale deception that would reshape the world order as we know it. I mean, look at the world around us. Deepfakes, fake headshots, fake news, fake interviews, fake people. It's all within grasp of the one world government. I did always find it strange that the USA consistently reported the highest number of UFO sightings worldwide. It's important to differentiate between the genuine study of UFO or UAP sightings and conspiracy theories. While UFO sightings are real and scientifically investigated, conspiracy theories often lack credible evidence and should be taken with a healthy dose of skepticism. So, what do you think? Is this hearing the turning point for humanity where we finally start to accept that there is other life out there? Or is this all just part of an even more complex and dark grand conspiracy?
I would not be surprised.
Okay.
Either way, no matter which direction this new information leads us, there's no going back. And with that, I'd like to ask, what other insights might you have to bring to the discussion? I'd love to hear what you guys all have to say in the comments. Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like. If not, share your concerns. If you have any recommendations on future topics you'd like to see me cover, please don't hesitate in sharing. With all that being said, stay curious and stay safe.